Welcome to this week's virtual Drasha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read Parshas Shoftim. And in this Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu goes through many of the halachos that discuss or that pertain to going out to battle, to going out to war. And so the Torah says, this is in Perek Chaf, Pasuk Yutes, chapter 20, verse 19, Ki satzor el ir yomim rabim. Torah is coming in the following situation. The Jewish army lays siege to an enemy city. You're laying siege for many days with the intention of conquering and overtaking the city. Lo sashchis es eitza lindoch alav garzen. Don't chop down trees. See, we're talking about fruit trees with your axe. Kimimenu tochal, because you'll be able to go ahead and eat from the trees. Va'osolo sichros. Therefore, don't go ahead and cut it down. Ki adam eitz hasada lavo lifanecha b'matzor. Now we'll translate these words. The way to translate the words are, because a person is a tree of the field to come before you in the siege. Rashi HaKadosh understands it's not a statement, it's a rhetorical question. Kia adam eitz hasada? Is the tree an enemy combatant that you have to cut it down? In other words, the end of the pasuk is telling us why Hashem says you can't cut down the trees. So you're laying siege, you want to cut down the trees. The Torah says, why are you cutting down the trees? Why are you destroying the trees? In Meretz Hashem, you're going to conquer the city. You'll be able to benefit from the trees. Kia adam eitz hasada? Is the tree an enemy combatant? Is it a person? The tree is the tree an enemy combatant that you have to cut it down in the midst of the siege? So this is the Torah telling us you can't unnecessarily cut down fruit trees. This pasuk actually becomes the source of the halacha of bal tashchis, about doing things that are unnecessarily wasteful. Of course, the Sefer HaChinuch explains, if you need to cut down the trees for strategic importance, for strategic reason, of course that's permitted, but to just wantonly destroy for the sake of destroying, like a scorched earth policy, that you're not allowed to do. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe Zecher Tzaddik Kadosh Livracha says something amazing. He says, why is man compared to a tree? Why? In other words, let me take a step back. The truth is, Chazal see in this pasuk that phrase "Ki adam eitz hasada," man is like a tree. Now, as much as in the pasuk it's framed as a rhetorical question, Chazal use it more as a metaphor, or they use it additionally as a metaphor. Ki adam eitz hasada, man is like a tree. And there are many ways in which this man-tree comparison manifests itself. The tree has roots, man has roots, the tree produces fruits, we produce fruit, offspring, maisim tovim, good deeds. But the Rebbe says, but still, if we distill it down to the core, why compare a man to a tree? Why not to some other plant, to some other growth, to some other form of vegetation? Why davka? The way the Rebbe phrases is, Gigon tevua. Why don't you go ahead and compare man to grain? Grain is so good. Grain is bread. Bread is sustenance, such a staple in the human condition. So why do you dafka compare man to a tree and not to something else? And the Rebbe says something amazing. He says, if you look at agricultural work, the common denominator of all forms of agricultural work is exactly that, work. And not just any kind of work, but hard work. It's interesting. A person could trade stocks and be successful, and doesn't necessarily require all that much physical exertion. A person could do many different professions and be successful, and it doesn't necessarily require physical. It may require intellectual exertion, emotional exertion, but not necessarily physical exertion. Well, agrarian work, farm work, agricultural work requires an incredible amount of physical effort. The Rebbe says that's the meaning in the pasuk that we say in Shira Malos, Hazorim bidima barina yiktzoru. Those who sow their field with tears will go ahead and reap with joy. The Rebbe says, what does it mean to sow with tears? The tears represents the physical exertion. If you want something to grow in your field, if you want something to come to fruition, if you want something to literally bear fruit, you have to be willing, zorim bidima, to put in your effort, to work hard, and then and only then will you get the results. But the Rebbe says something amazing. But herein lies the difference between trees and other forms of vegetation. The Rebbe posits, with other forms of vegetation, he explains that you plant, and pretty soon afterwards, you could see some result from your efforts. Right? You plant the grain, and not so long afterwards, you begin to see the stalks. And the truth is, days passing, you begin to see the stalks grow even a little bit more. And months, you begin to see a certain level of perpetual motion in the evolution of the crop. You could see the results unfolding right in front of you. The Rebbe says something amazing. He says, but at the end of the day, that's not true with trees. He says, this is incredible. He says, Peirosav shala'ama mofiyim rak la'achar tekufa memushachetz. It's true. I had this. We planted trees in our backyard. a couple of years ago. And the truth is, the trees, we planted actually like saplings, so they're already there. And the truth is, we were told they're going to grow, they're going to be big, they're going to this. I'm looking, summer goes by, second summer goes by, third year now, again, you can begin to see. So the Rebbe says trees, they grow very slowly. And fruit-bearing trees, it even takes longer for them to grow up to bear fruit. So there's going to be the maturation of the tree and the maturation of the fruit. In other words, in the rest of the agricultural kingdom, you put in effort and you find we're not going to say instantaneous results, but you'll find more immediate results. But in the world of trees, it could be a very long time until you see anything. And even when you see the first stage of the tree, it's probably going to take more time until you go ahead and you see the peros. He says something amazing. Therefore, when it comes to planting trees, it's not just the pshat that you have to put in the physical effort, but what else do you need? You need patience. You need patience. If you don't have patience, wheat might be a good crop for you. Plant it, and pretty soon afterwards, you're going to see something. But trees require physical exertion and emotional patience. Physical exertion and emotional patience. And therefore says the Rebbe, now I understand. Kia Adam eitz hasada. Do you know why man is compared to a tree? The Rebbe says, Shekein tzmichuso v'hispaschuso haruchne shel Adam doresha si af ma'amatz v'yigia merubim. The Rebbe says we're like the tree. See, it takes time for us to sprout. It takes time for us to develop. It takes time for the roots to take hold, and it takes time for the branches to extend, and it takes time for those branches to yield fruit. I could put in effort in myself. You see what the Rebbe is highlighting over here? Something amazing. One of the most challenging and sometimes frustrating parts of personal growth is I put in effort, I make changes, I'm doing things differently, but I don't necessarily see a comprehensive change in myself. Maybe I'm strong enough, I identify the things that I'm doing wrong, and I stop doing them. Or I've identified the things that I'm not doing that I could be, and I started doing them. And I expect to feel this wave of positivity. And I expect to feel this wave of excitement. And I expect to feel this wave, this like burst of spiritual energy. And it's not there. And it's not there. It's not there. The Rebbe says it's okay. Kia adam eitz hasada. Sometimes you put a lot of effort into yourself, but it's going to take time to see it. It's going to take time to feel it. It's going to take time for it to self-actualize. Just like sometimes when we're trying to change ourselves, this is Elul, and Elul was the beginning of the process of tshuva. And a lot of times we know there are changes we want to make in the positive things. There are things I want to stop doing, things I want to start doing, things I want to start doing that I haven't been doing, things that I have been doing I want to do differently, things that I have been doing I just want to stop doing it all. There are things I want to do, And I grow frustrated sometimes with the slow pace of my personalistic evolution, with the slow pace of my personal change. The Rebbe says, Kia Adam eitz hasada. Man is not wheat. Man is a tree. Man is a tree. And it takes time for trees to grow. Hazorim bedima barina yiktzoru applies to everything. But at the end of the day, trees not only need physical exertion, but they also need emotional patience. And as we continue our journey in the month of Elul, and Mir Hashem towards Yamim Noraim, and hopefully really become focused on our personal growth. We should be focused on growth the entire year. But most of us, we think about growth, we talk about growth, but the truth is Elul is kind of like, when we really get going, because we recognize the year's coming to a close, and another year is going to be, I want to get it together. And sometimes as we're on the path of personal growth, we get derailed by a sense of frustration. Changes aren't happening as quickly as I would have wanted them to happen. Or I'm trying, right? I take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. I'm just simply not moving at the pace that I want to move. I expected the change to be faster. I expected the change to take less time. I expected the change to be easier. I expected to see the results immediately, right here and now. That's the Yetzer Hara talking. Because a lot of times when we get caught up on that wheel, the only possible idea we come up with is get off the wheel. Just stop. It's not happening. Right? Zela ola. It's just not going. It's just not moving forward. So if it's not moving forward, just stop. Just stop. Change is taking longer than I thought. It's not occurring. It's not unfolding. Just stop. When we want to stop, remember the words of the Torah Kedosha and the explanation of the Rebbe. Ki ha'adam eitz hasada. We are not wheat that grows instantaneously, in which you could perceive immediate, overwhelming change. Ki ha'adam eitz hasada. I am a tree, and here's what I know about the tree. See, every single time you water the tree gets stronger. You might not be able to see it, and you might not be able to measure that growth in inches, but the growth is happening. The chizik is happening. And every single time I work the soil around the tree, ultimately, again, the tree is growing stronger. And every single time I prune the tree from the branches that are holding it back, I might not see a branch explosion, but the tree is getting stronger. Ki ha'adam eitz hasada. Even if we can't always see the results of our dynamic spiritual activity, even if we can't always see the immediate results of the changes that we are making, bein l'tov, bein l'ra, whether the things we're taking on or stopping, even if we can't immediately see the results, rest assured that they are happening. No different than the tree in the field. Every little bit of agricultural attention makes this tree stronger. Every little bit of effort we put into ourselves makes us stronger, makes us better, and makes us holier, even if I can't see it. Ki ha'adam eitz hasada. May we be zochem Eretz Hashem in this month and in the months ahead to put in the requisite effort to plant and to nurture our trees. And may we be zochem Eretz Hashem to have the patience to see them blossom. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.